This is Michael Wang. Today we're gonna install WebCenter content. Okay, so let's look at the steps to install Oracle Fusion Middleware. So first we need to download the software. So there's three software need to be downloaded. It's GDK. So for the Oracle Fusion Middleware 12c, so we need the GDK 1.8 and WebLogic, which is a middleware infrastructure, and the specific middleware products we're installing. So today we're gonna work on WebCenter content. So we need to download WebCenter content. So all of the software are available at edelivery.oracle.com. So you just need to log in and download, search the WebCenter content, and you download. Okay, so I already downloaded all of the software. So I'm gonna start installing. Okay, so let's connect to the server. So I'm using a mobile Xterm, so you don't have to use that. You can use PuTTY or some other terminal. Okay, so I have downloaded all of the software. Um, we can see I have the GDK. So I have the WebLogic, which is so it's called middleware infrastructure, and I have WebCenter content. Okay, so first we need to install the JDK. So to install that, I'm gonna go to the folder where I want to install. Okay, so I looks like I already have the JDK, so let me remove that. Okay, so I want to install the JDK here. So all I need to do is enter it here. So I'm gonna type the full path of the JDK. So it's untar here, so you're gonna create the folder. So I'm gonna create a soft link. So you can see the soft link is pointing to the JDK. So this step is not necessary, but it's for convenient. Okay. So next step, so I'm gonna install the WebLogic, which is middleware infrastructure. So I'm gonna go back to the software folder. So I'm gonna unzip the WebLogic. Okay, so looks like I had unzipped before. So I'm just say yes. Oh, you can see it produce a jar file. I'm gonna just run the jar file. You you run the jar file, and it will start the installer. Okay, the installer is starting. Okay, just click next, next. So here we need to choose Oracle Home. So we're gonna choose a new folder. So since I'm installing WebCenter content, I'm gonna call it what? WCC 12214. Hit enter. Next. Next. It's pre-checking. It's 100% next. Just install. Okay, so I'm gonna come back when it's 100%. It's 100% now. Let's just click next. So this is a summary of what has been installed. Let's click finish. So now I installed WebLogic. I need to install the WebCenter content. I'm gonna unzip that. I'm gonna run this jar file to start the installer. Next. Next. So now here we need to choose the folder we installed the WebLogic. So we need to choose the same folder. Okay. So WCC. So that's the folder we installed WebLogic. Doing pre-checking. Next. Let's see install. So it's gonna take a few minutes, so I'm gonna come back when it's 100%. It's 100% now. Just click next. Finish. Alright, let's take a look at the steps. So we already installed the JDK, installed the WebLogic, and installed the WebCenter content. So the next step, we're gonna run the RCU. So what the RCU does is create the users and schemas in the database. And after that, we can run the config.sh to create the domain. So after we create the domain, we're gonna start that and we're gonna verify. Okay, so we're gonna run the RCU. We're gonna go to the directory where we install the WebCenter content. WCC. We're gonna go to Oracle Common. Bin RCU. Next. Next. So here we need to input the database information. So our database is here on this server, and port usually 1521. So if you don't know the port, you ask the DBA. Next. Click OK. So now here we need to define a prefix. So we are installing WebCenter content. I'm going to call it WebCenter WCC dev. So dev means development. Usually you will have a development and you will have a testing, you will have a production environment. So, but usually you start with dev. So then you go to test, then go to production. Next. So I input the password. We are use the same password for simplicity. So but it can, if you like, you can use different password. Next. Okay. Okay. And say create. Usually this will take a few minutes. So I'm gonna come back when finished. Okay, it's finished. Just click close. So after run the RCU, we need to run the config.sh to create the domain. So that is on this. Okay, so I'm gonna create the domain on a different folder. Okay. So I'm gonna call the domain as WCC. Okay, so we're gonna select the imaging content. So we're gonna select the capture. Next. So if you want to select something else, even after the domain, you can run the config.sh again to come back to select. Okay, I'm gonna enable this again. So I'm gonna put it on different folder. So we just need to set the password. Next, I'm gonna select production. Next. Okay, so here we need to input the database information. So whenever we choose, we call the WCC dev. So that's the prefix we have. We need to input the password. Next. Next. Again, this is the database information. I'll call it WCC dev. So now we need to click the get RCU configuration. Okay, next. Next. So it's doing some testing to it's trying to connect to the database to see if it can successfully connect. Okay, so we're gonna leave this. So let's put a username and password. I mean, you don't have to use the same username as the WebLogic, but just put it example. Okay, so you can define a port to make sure the port is not being used. To check the port not being used. Okay, so we can check which port is running by doing this. So it's too much, so we're gonna see. We're gonna grab. So we're gonna check which is listen. Okay. So we can see, okay, 111, 122. Okay, so 631. Okay, so it doesn't have the port we are specifying, but okay, so since we create a lot of domains, so we might have some other domains using that. So see, we have a few domains. So we might have some other domains which is not currently running, means it's not listening, but it could use the same port we are trying to use. So how do you check what port and those other domains are running? So we can grab port. So we can grab the config.sh so we can find out what is the port. Okay, so this will list all of the ports. Okay, so we are looking at 7 something. We can again grab 7 to reduce the number of lines, so it's easier for us to see. 704, 703, 7100. Okay. Okay, so we are trying to use 7112, so which is not being used. All right. So next, so specify node manager username password. Next. Okay, we're gonna add the cluster name. Next. 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 So we're gonna move everything under this cluster. click next. Okay, machine. So we're gonna create a machine. I'm gonna call it WCC machine. Okay, so this port. Okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna choose a different port because we have a lot of domains created. So 5556 is the default. So I'm gonna put everything under this machine. Next, next. So just click create. So it will take a few minutes. So when it's 100%, we're gonna come back. It's 100% now. Just click next. Say finish. So we created the domain. So we need to start up that. Okay. So let's go to the domain directory. So go to the bin directory. So we're gonna start the node manager. So node manager is started. Let's start the WebLogic. Okay, since we did not create the boot.property file, so we have to input the password here. Okay, the domain is started. So when you see the server is started in running mode, so that means the domain is started. Okay, let's see if we can log into the console. Seven one 12. That's the port we defined. Okay. So use the WebLogic username password. Servers. So we started the admin server, but all of the managed servers is not started yet. So we're gonna start it here. It's starting. Okay, all started. Let's see if we can log into the middleware control. Instead of console, CEM. So again, we use the WebLogic. Okay, we logged in. So you can see we have a WebCenter here. Content. Okay, so we have successfully installed the Web Center content. Alright, one thing we didn't do is here we had to input the WebLogic username password to start the admin server. So in order to avoid that and have this Web Center admin server running on the background, so we gonna create a boot.properties file. So I'm gonna stop that. So my admin server is stopped. I'm gonna go to this folder. So I need a security folder. Okay, I'm gonna create a file called boot.properties. I'm gonna put a username and password. Okay, we'll go back to start the WebLogic on the background. Okay, my admin server is restarted. So now I'm gonna refresh. So I have to relog in again because the admin server is restarted. Okay, I relogged in.